Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Let's Talk Local, brought to you by Farmington Virtual Recreation, which is a partnership between the Farmington Recreation Center and Sycamore Park Community Center. So, as always, we want to give a shout out to them. Thank you so much for working with us and helping us put together all this great online virtual programming for people to enjoy. I think that's all the intro we need here. So, what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about senior services, senior programs. We might get into a senior grant the city obtained, and we'll talk about what's going to happen with that. And we'll see where the conversation goes from there. So, we're going to be talking to Stephen Dick with the Bonnie Dallas Senior Center. So, without further ado, I don't see any good reason not to jump on over. And real quick, I wanted to point out you may be thinking to yourself right now, the wall behind you is very green, and it is not bricks like it's not brick like at all. And that's because I am streaming from a different location in my house today. My wife and I share our home office, so she got claimed to that one today. So I am in a different room. So just to clarify that for anybody that's confused. So we're gonna head on over and we're gonna talk to Steven. So hey, Steven, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing today?
Good, good, good. So I know that. Well, first of all, let's start off with what is it exactly that you do for the senior center?
I'm the assistant adult programs manager, so I help assist Jack, the adult programs manager, with the daily running of the center and help with some marketing and also some print material, all different things like that. So classes, meals, and everything, a little bit of everything,
Jack of all trades, like the rest of us.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much our whole department. So you and I were emailing back and forth about what we were going to talk about today, and you brought up something that I thought was a really good point that I hadn't considered, being someone who doesn't, work with seniors day in and day out. And you mentioned that this is something, the situation we're in, kind of the pandemic has put people in a position where they might be better suited to understand what it's like for not just seniors in our area, but kind of seniors, everywhere. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, no. The thing that really struck me when the pandemic started and the lockdown, shutting down of facilities and all these type of things and people being forced to stay home, what struck me is that now people are getting a taste of what it's like for seniors who then become shut-ins, and it's not just for 1 or 2 months, it ends up being 10, 15 years, 20 years. That things like that, when you understand that maybe it's a tough time for people being at home. And well, here's one thing: we have the internet right now. You and I are talking on the internet, and we got computers and cell phones and all this stuff. But you consider the senior population who don't know. A lot of people have challenges with computers and challenges with the internet. A lot of them don't do Facebook. So you can imagine the only interaction that they get is a Meals on Wheels person, a neighbor, a phone call from somebody, and what their daily life would look like. And now I intensify that whenever the quarantine is saying, "Now stay away from your grandparents." Can you? So that's something to bring to your mind, like, wow, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that we are not considering or people haven't actually taken a look at. We deal with the Meals on Wheels here. Our program, because of trying to limit interaction, uh, we're delivering 3 days a week. We're doing our best to make contact with people and to check in on them, those types of things, because we don't get the daily every single day to visit them. But yeah, you can imagine what it's like.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. While you're talking, it's making me think it's almost like a threefold realization we should have, which is not only that now, you're feeling cooped up. Imagine how people who have no choice but to stay cooped up feel. The feeling of, count your blessings when we're in a normal situation, and the idea that this is something we don't want to forget about once it's back to normal. This is an idea you should take with you whenever
Yes.
we do get back to normal, and remember that these people are still in the situation you had to be in for a short amount of time.
And it also gives you the different perspective when you're dealing with maybe a person who is a shut-in or is an older person who is living in a situation like that. Hey, maybe that's why they act that way about people who come around to the house, or people who are, you know what I mean, those type of different things. Because one of the main things that happen, especially you get to a certain age, and whenever you then maybe get into the lockdown situation, it's daily routines, right? So that's why people get into that. Hey, we get lunch at a certain time. We get this show comes on the TV at a certain time. They get into those daily routines because they're trying to aim ahead in that lockdown situation to those little glimmers of hope in the future. You see, and it's interesting when you start to analyze and look at it and see how people are actually surviving, as it were,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
living.
absolutely, yeah. And when I was, when I was talking to you about interviewing you and going through questions I was going to ask, this isn't even something. Like I said, it's something you brought up because it's not my line of work. I don't directly have someone in my life that this is the sort of thing that affects me. So it's easy not to think about. We were just saying before the stream started, in a situation where, like I said, you don't have someone directly affecting you, you don't work with it, you don't see it, it's easy not to think about. And this, I think it's important that after this is all over, this is one of those things that we keep with us and keep in our minds, that
Yeah.
not only do we need to take care of ourselves, not only do we need to take care of our children, but there are older people in our community who sometimes don't have anyone else to take care of. And that's
Yeah.
there are always things we can do. So, um, but no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, see it applies to your family members, but when you consider your neighbor, the person, for instance, not trying to be Debbie Downer, but when you consider, like, we service some seniors who are shut-ins who don't have family or contacts. Now that person there is totally cut off, and those type of things to consider. It starts making you think, hey, how's that guy on the street? Let me give him a call or knock on his window and make contact with him, because it just opens your mind and opens your eyes to these things. I don't mean to go on about it, but it's something that I think about every day, and something that I think about even in normal situations. Whenever we didn't have the pandemic, you think about the home services that go in and those type of things. And previous director used to talk about how that whenever the Meals on Wheels people come down the street, everybody starts singing, the dog's tail starts wagging, the birds start chirping, everybody gets so excited because there's a human being coming to the door, you know and a lot of those people just are so excited to see you.
Yeah, that's great. And that's it's fantastic that there are people who are employed by the city who that is their job specifically. Um, but it also makes me a little sad that I'm glad that we have people that do that. It's a little sad we have to have people that do that, but I'm glad we do, and we do, and you guys do such a great job over there. Let's talk about some of this programming, some of the ways that
Sure.
you guys have changed things up and continue to be able to service our seniors in a safe way. So, right off the bat, the first question I have as far as that goes is, what are some of the ways, just generally, that you guys had to adapt to the situation once it started?
So, like everybody, all our facilities are closed down to the general public. So, we're not having anybody come into the facility or on the premises. But what we've been doing is, we've the main goal is to continue with our meal program and reaching out to especially to the shut-in people who are on the Meals on Wheels. Um, to maintain the service in whatever modified degree that we could. And the thing is to modify it to keep it going and to limit our interaction to that we can protect them. because they are truly the vulnerable population, especially during this time of the pandemic. So we have to maintain service and be careful. So what we do is we do a grab and go lunch here at the senior center on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's from 11:30 to 1, and they drive into the South parking lot and line up on Wall. What is that? Wall Street. Yeah, we're line up on Wall
One of
Street
those
there, and
streets.
one of the it's that one out that way. They line up on Wall Street, and we serve them a hot meal for the day with also with a frozen meal for the next day. So they get that because, as I said, we only serve them Tuesdays and Thursdays. So on Thursday they get two frozen meals, and one hot meal, and that's
That's
for those.
that's amazing. That's a ton of food. Shout out to whoever you guys have working in your kitchen over there.
I'm telling you, those are the hardest working people in the city. I tell you every day.
I
Every day
believe
those
it.
guys have been the quarantine. They've been working their tails off, to put it politely. But yeah, so that's what we do Tuesdays and Thursdays here at the senior center. We do home delivered meals. So on Mondays, I'm getting it right in my head. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And with that, we give them obviously the frozen meal for the days we aren't serving, and then there's a majority of them get weekend meals on top of that. So they get a couple of frozen meals for the weekend as well. So you're thinking people who can't go to the store, they don't get grocery pickup or home or those type of things. They don't know about DoorDash. You know what I mean? They don't know about those services, and so we have to do what we can. And we've got a faithful bunch of people that take care of it, and we've had a lot of help from the Parks and Rec employees who've come and uh, assisted in delivering, especially at this time. And we've still got volunteers who come in and take a ride and drive all over the city of Farmington and do that. So, and then we wear masks and we get them to glove up, and we get them put in plastic bags so they're limiting the contact or the physical touching of things. And so we're following all our food handling policies, and also doing extra for COVID, and trying to maintain the safety for the seniors.
Absolutely, yeah, and to point something out that kind of ties into what you just said, I made a point last week on the live stream. We ended up talking about how great our community is, and everything you've just said just reinforces that. It's easy to listen to the few people that live here that like to sit around and say, I don't want to be here. This isn't a good place. When you really start to get into it and look and see what people here do, how hard they work, the people that are willing to help without getting paid. Yeah. It's amazing how many people live here that want to help. And what you guys are doing with delivering that much food to that many people is absolutely astounding. I had no idea the scale to which you guys were offering service to these people. That is incredible.
It is, and you're right. We've got so many different people that volunteer and want to help out, and that want to be involved in the meal program. And I even tell people, even if you can't necessarily be a part of the meal program, you can still reach out to your neighbor who is the shut-in, and you can still pick up the phone and call your grandmother or your grandfather and check in with them every day, even if it's a quick conversation, just to have and just to say, hey, I'm doing something. It doesn't have to be huge, but I'm doing something. And that's what a lot of people do as well. So I'm thankful for those people that have got that heart to serve their community, and there's no better way than helping the senior population.
Absolutely. Now, as far as volunteers, are you guys do you guys have the amount of volunteers that you need? Are there other specific ways that relate to what you guys do that people can still reach out and help with, aside from what you just mentioned, where if you know somebody, reach out to them, see if they need something, see if there's a safe way you can help them personally? Are there other official ways that people can help you guys out?
The Meals on Wheels program, we do we are still taking volunteers that want to be a part of that. again, because it's at this time, there's some people that have felt because they were seniors themselves, they didn't feel free to come back to volunteer again. But there are still some opportunities with volunteering for Meals on Wheels and things like that. So we that is another option if people wanted to be a part of that. Um, it's a good question. You'd have to, well, especially the challenge has been, just as we're talking, people have reached out to us. It was almost immediately when we closed the doors, the phone started ringing, and all over the city, people were like saying, "How can we help? How can we help? How can we help?" And we had to say, we understand we're doing what we can to put into place our programs to maintain our services. And some of what we do in the volunteer aspect at the moment is a little limited because we have to control that to protect our seniors. So we have to follow those and training of our volunteers and things like that in that process. But on the other hand, we do is we're encouraging the other part where you could reach out to somebody or somebody you're connected to, whether they were in the place you used to go all the time, or whether it's somebody you are familiar with or not familiar with, just trying to reach out to others. So the volunteer aspect for us is twofold. It's here in the center where opportunities come up and in the community yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just to harken back to the idea of once this is over and we're back to normal, I hope that we all hang on to that spirit of, well, I know that we're not in a pandemic, but I do know there's still people that need help, and I'd still like to volunteer. So I hope that's something that we as a community continue to hold on to as well. I've never thought there was a shortage of volunteers in our community, but you can never have too many. You really can't.
You can't, and I think just like you always need volunteers. There's always an area. It's only limited by our imagination to where we can get somebody to reach out. Maybe have a weekly call list. You go down that call list. Say, I'm going to call my auntie, my grandma, my go down that list and just to give them a call and say, okay, I did that. Well, family, it's not really volunteering because you got to do that anyway. But what I mean by that is, hey, pick up an extra chicken sandwich when you go through the drive-through and drop it off in a bag on your neighbor's door. And it's a beautiful thing. And you can't, the the calls that we get or the conversations that we have whenever things like that happen, it's inspiring, and it really does show you that people are out there and actually do care about their friends or their neighbors or people they don't even know.
Yeah, definitely. So, talking about people that you may know or people in your family that you may know in the area that maybe aren't part of the senior meal program or any of the other programs that you guys do. What are the easiest ways for people to find information and get others help others get signed up for these programs?
So for our meal programs, for instance, um, dropping by the center during the grab and go lunches. So if you wanted to come by that day, pick up a lunch, they take your phone number and do an online or they call you up on the phone and get them registered for lunches. That's if you're a person who's eligible yourself. That means 60 years of age and older, and then you can come through the what do you call it? The grab and go lunch line and pick up those meals on a Tuesdays or Thursdays. But if you wanted the Meals on Wheels, or if you have somebody who is more of a shut in or more of a homebound person, they have got to the place where they're afraid to go out to the store, those type of things, and they're locked into their homes and things like that. Um, Picking up the phone and calling the center. Um, our meal program is 100% voluntary, which means a person who wants to get the meals or has to say they want them. It's kind of interesting. You can't necessarily say, I want this from my mom. your mom has to call and say she wants them.
Right. What is the
Uh,
what's the phone number that people would need to reach out to?
sure, it's 505 599 1380
Alrighty.
1380.
Great. And I just went ahead and threw that in the chat as well. If anybody's wanting that phone number, I went ahead and threw it in the chat. So you can call that number to ask questions or see what you can do to get somebody involved in those programs if they need them. So let's see here. We talked about the senior meal program, the number of people can call to get others signed up, how they go through that process. I suppose. Did you want to get out any other information about the meal program specifically?
Um, Man. Okay, so the only we they do ask for a donation. So if you're going through the drive-through or you're home delivered, it's a donation. It's not a charge or a fee. It's they suggest $3 per meal. Some people would do whatever they can. So those type of things. That helps maintain part of the service and helps us. Provide the meals. All the money that is ever given in a donation goes back in to buy food. It doesn't go into to pay my salary. I work for the city of Farmington. Taxpayers pay for me. Um, but just as I say, all the money that's given in a donation goes back into the meals themselves. Just to throw that out there.
Great, cool, right on. Let's move on and talk about. I've heard this mentioned, but I don't know a whole lot about it. So, can you tell us what the Title III grant that you guys have applied for and I think received? Right? Can you tell us what that is?
Sure, sure. So the Title III grant is a funding stream that goes into the area. Um, pays for senior services, senior meal programs. So it does the home delivered meals, the congregate meals, and also transportation. It pays for the food and the gas and the maintenance of vans and things like that. Um, that grant was in this area before this time, and it was through another organization in the area. And unfortunately, they didn't continue on with the grant. But the city of Farmington did work really hard, and Jack and Natalie, just shout out to them, and Shauna and all those guys. And I can talk all day about how great all those people are because they worked so hard up in finance as well. They've been working really hard to try to maintain our services in the whole of San Juan County. It's not just here in Farmington. This grant applies to Aztec and Bloomfield and Lower Valley out there in Kirtland. So Farmington has helped out the whole of the county by taking this by getting this grant. So that's kind of like a huge shout out to what the guys in Farmington have done to maintain the services. And if it wasn't for the pandemic, I think the people would have a greater understanding of those things.
Yeah, I tell you what, when you start looking at all of the work you guys do and how much effort is put into what you guys do, you almost make the rest of us look bad, like we're not trying.
No, we have a lot of there's a lot of demand, and also it's just a great place to be and a great place to work, and a lot of it's very rewarding, and a lot of purpose in it. So we're glad, and the grant, the funding stream grant money is it's from the state, so that comes down through AAA, Aging and Long-Term Services, and then we administer it. So we supply the funds for the different centers to buy food and those type of things as well. So that's kind of how that works.
Okay, great. Yeah. So then that grant generally just covers, like you said, the food, the vehicle maintenance that goes along with those programs. So it's just basically the general things you guys need money for.
Pretty much. There's some of it is, yeah, pretty much. dare I say, just pretty much, yeah. It's and that's why when you look at the amount of effort that other places put in, you look at Aztec or Bloomfield and Lower Valley and the county, picking up and helping facility. They have their own facilities, they have staff and those type of things. In the city of Farmington, I mean, we have, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings, 5 buildings that the city of Farmington runs and funds, and staffing, salaries. And you think about all the effort that we put in to do the outreach that we need to do. And it's just incredible when you consider it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am, for one, 100% thankful that we have so many people in our community with the heart and a passion for the older population, the elderly, those who can't leave their homes, those who need it and sometimes
We'll
don't
be
know.
there one day.
Exactly. That's kind of where I was going, is that, we will all be there one day. So, to not think about it
Yeah.
now and reach out to those people, it kind of doesn't make sense, because, when you get older, you'd want that. You want people to reach out and
Yeah.
connect and help you out. So, again, I just want to reiterate, it's such an important thing to remember that once this is all over and we're back to normal, is that we keep that in mind, that there are, slightly underserved populations in our community, and as much service as you guys provide, this might, it might still count as one of those that it's just as in the terms of people don't think about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And you think of the disconnect, like here's one of the things also, if you think of it, if you drop all your tech, you stop using your cell phone, you stop using your laptop or your computer or whatever, and you try to live for a couple of days, and you right, really, right, you start to consider, okay, how do I find out about this or that, or how do I oh, does the store down the street have this part for whatever I need at home? And you can just go on the internet and press a couple of buttons and find out what these things are. But you think about that generation, that's not that long ago, where people were not using computers, and people who left the workforce, left the workforce at the beginning of the computer age, they're seniors. They're walking around and still have the little flip phone, and you know incredible people, and the stories and the experiences, life experiences that people have had that you can get from them, it's awesome. I don't mean
absolutely.
to go on. It's just I just it's been just it's a huge part of my life, and I really really is important to me.
Well, yeah, well, it should be important to all of us, and that's great. That's what this platform is for. So I'm glad that you're kind of going off on your little rants, talking about how it affects you and what you think. That's great. It really is. That's what I'm here for. So
It's like a counseling session.
that's
Thank
right.
you, Dr. Jordan.
I don't know if I'll get in trouble if you call me a doctor. So let's.
There's no PhD after that name.
That's right. Not even close. All right. So before we take off here, I want to ask you what, and this is a question kind of off topic from what we've been talking about, but what are some ways that maybe you and your family are still able to either get out and enjoy Farmington, or what do you guys like to do while spending your time at home safely?
It's a good question. My life has pretty much been carrying on the way it has been before the quarantine, because I get up and we had this little conversation, a little bit of this. Getting up, I go to work every day. I come home. I've got 2 kids at home. They're 2 little kids, so my life is pretty full. So a lot of the things that I do is I walk around the neighborhood with the kids, or I've got a little paddling pool that every once in a while I fill full of water, and let Emma jump in there, and we do a lot of our the dine, or what do they call that, to go in the area, and pick up a burrito as I'm driving to work,
What's
or
your
those
what's
type
your
of things.
what's your favorite restaurant for to go?
Oh man,
That's an even harder question, right?
that's an even harder question. Don't know if I should label a special one because they're not paying me.
They
But
might.
they might. I just, you know what? Whenever I drive through Farmington, and it really encourages me to see the outdoor dining that's going on. Down there by the mall, the different places that doing outdoor dining behind Wax, they've got their outdoor dining, and even down the Chili Pod and those guys down Main Street. If you haven't taken a tour down Main Street, because we're just off Main Street, so I drive down here to the roundabouts every day, and I look down the street and I see the guys in the Chili Pot out there and those type of things, and it's really awesome to see that people are there. I say think outside the box to keep on with life, keep life going, and keep enthusiastic and keep involved in our community. So yeah, that's stuff like that.
Absolutely. And on that note, real quick, if you haven't had a chance to drive down and check out those roundabouts, before you make a judgment call, go check them out because I think they're really nice and I think they're super simple. I really enjoy them.
They are, and you know what? I teach a driver safety class here in the senior center, so we do that as well with the AARP. It's all this stuff, but roundabouts are awesome. And again, Jordan, you're right. Come down, check them out because they're really easy to use, and what they're doing with downtown is beautiful, and I can't wait till the transformation is complete and all those outdoor dining and all this stuff is going on in Farmington. People will realize that we have one of the greatest, well, the greatest city in New Mexico and one of the greatest in America. Dare I say? That's a bit,
There you go. There's Steven's unbiased opinion.
totally unbiased. I'm from Ireland, so
I couldn't tell. What do you mean?
tell not at all. Do you like the hat?
I do. I was thinking that earlier. I was thinking, he wore a hat to match his accent. That's great. Well, Steven, do you have any final thoughts, parting thoughts before we take off here?
um, just just a little. The only thing I was going to say to suggest to people that, especially with the quarantine, limit the screen time. Get out and enjoy the sun. Um, the parks. There's different places that people can still walk and enjoy the outside. And stop listening to the news. Don't listen to politics. Go out and wave at your neighbor, and because Farmington is a great place to live.
Absolutely. That's great. I agree. I echo that. So, all right, Steven. Well, it's been great talking to you, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming on.
Take care.
We'll see you. All right, so what a lovely conversation. I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope it was informative. If you have any questions about anything we talked about, of course, you can call that number for the Bonnie Dallas Senior Center. You can give them a like on Facebook, message them there. There are lots of different ways to reach out to the Bonnie Dallas Senior Center and the team they have there with any questions you may have. So before we take off, I just want to echo one more time that we were talking about a lot in that conversation. Actually, this is how you might be experiencing some things a shut-in might feel all the time. The elderly folks that can't leave their homes or don't have contacts in the area or anyone to to talk to them or reach out. So I hope that's something we take with us even when we get back to normal. I hope it's not something we forget soon. I hope it's something we remember throughout our lives after this is over. So with that, I'm going to leave you with a couple of short ads. One is for the Heather McGoy Children's Theater virtual show, which is this weekend. If you haven't gotten your tickets, get your ticket because it's going to be cool and it's going to be fun and exciting. So, and you'll see the info for that in the ad. And the next one, the second ad is going to be for our next Let's Talk Local segment. We will not be seeing you guys next Friday, but we will be back the following Friday, which is, I believe, August 14th for Let's Talk Local live stream. So with that, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Like Steven said, get outside, enjoy the weather, enjoy the sun, enjoy the parks and walking trails. You're still allowed to do that. Get downtown, check it out, have a good time down there. Eat at a restaurant on their outdoor dining patios. You guys just enjoy the community that we have. So with that, we'll see you guys next time. And again, have a great weekend.